Wargamers, I'm Lee and you're watching 360 Wargaming. Hi guys, thanks for joining us again today on what is known the world over by hobbyists and wargamers as Work in Progress Wednesday. I'm sure you've all got works in progress going on. I have several, and if you check out our Facebook group there will be a link in the description below to that, and I'll be posting my works in progress up later today. What I want to talk about today though is hobby motivation and how we keep going, and how I've started to do more to try and keep painting. You'll see in front of you I've got 3 stacks of models here, and this is what I painted. These are what I painted last year. These are what was started last year and finished this year, and these are what I've painted so far this year. Last year I set myself a target of painting a squad a week, and as you can see that didn't happen. I very much procrastinated and found other things to do, tidied my work area, worked on the website, chatted with other people in the community, and that meant that I got nowhere near as much painted as I planned to do last year. So what I've done this year, and if you're a member of the Facebook group or even just follow us on Facebook, you'll see I've started doing something that I call Set a Goal Sunday. And what I do every Sunday is I set a target of what I want to get done by Friday the following week. And it ties in because we've got Set a Goal Sunday. I then post what I'm working on in what would be Work in Progress Wednesday. And then again, when I finish them, or what I've got finished of that on Friday, I post on Finished It Friday. And if you join the group, you can see what we're working on. Both myself and Dan, the other painter, we both do the same. We'll post photos of what's going on and what models we're working on and painting at the time. So what I'm trying to do is share a little bit of information on how I try and keep myself motivated. Like I said, I often get distracted very easily. So what I'm doing every weekend is I'm setting a goal. It tends to be a goal of 5 models. What many people would be afraid of is they set a goal and they don't get it done. And I've done that. I've done that 3 weeks in a row. I've set a goal for models I want to get painted. But the issue I find sometimes looking at a model is I'm not sure how I want to paint it. And if you can see at the back of the screen here, these are ones that have been part of goals for the last couple of weeks, and they're not finished yet. They've not been painted. I've got paint on them. They've got started, but I haven't decided how I want the finished model to look yet. So it may be that I'll come in, add some more details to it. I may even decide I don't like how it looks altogether and take the paint off it and start again. But that's something that I think as a hobbyist, as a painter, especially if you are heavily into the painting side of the hobby, you need to not be afraid to do. To take a step back, to fail, to reevaluate and start again. And I think that's something that we put pressure on ourselves as painters, is that it has to be perfect and it has to be right the first time. You know, one example, and I showed it in the last video, is my current model for my company commander, Erwig Arellano. He counts as Creed in my guard army, and this is the second version of him that I've done. Now, I wasn't happy with the first one, and I did paint him before last year, but this is the model. It's based on the Imperial Guard Commissar. And I like the pose, I like the model, I like the sculpt, I like what I'd done with it. I just didn't like how the finished model came out. So I decided that I was going to start again, and when this model came out, I absolutely loved the model, and it had to be done. He screams Rogue Trader to me a lot more than the Commissar model does. So it's one of those things that I'd painted a model that I very, very much wanted to be the leader of my army, and then I wasn't happy. And rather than sticking with it because I wasn't happy, I decided I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do better. And that's how I'm trying to do things now with my side of the hobby. For years, I procrastinated. Like I said, I found other things to do. I found other things to work on. And I've been trying to get back into the hobby solidly for 4 or 5 years now. And it's only this past year where I've gotten down to it and started focusing a bit more on what I've done. And I have to attribute some of that to the arrival of contrast paints making things quicker for me. I'm a father of 3 and I've got a full-time job, as well as running the 360 Wargaming website, link in the description below, the Facebook page, the Facebook group, and now starting to make these videos for you. It's very easily for me to find something else to do rather than paint. So I am trying to focus on things, and setting a goal is allowing me to do that. And like I said, it is only 5 models, and I'm not stressing myself if I don't get all of those 5 models finished. My last goal was to finish these 4 and this model here, and I got the 1 model finished, and that's fine. I'm happy to reassess my target for the week, and I think it's something that we all need to do and consider. And the other thing that I'm doing is I'm very much an Imperial Guard player. I have been for years, but I decided to do something a little bit different from the standard Cadians. You will see that I do have my standard Cadians over at the back, but I wanted something different, so I'm actually using the All-Out models as my Imperial Guard army. One of the things that we all face as hobbyists sometimes is hobby burnout, painting the same models over and over and over. And whilst your brain will scream to you, do not have more than 1 project, I currently have 3. I have my Imperial Guard army, which is based off of, like I said, the all-out models. I've also got some other Necromunda models in there. I've even got some of the Genestealer Cults models, because I do think that they fit quite well. Even going to the fantasy range, and we've got a good old Gaunt's Ghost model of Doc Dorden, who is part of my company command squad. And painting those models over and over can get a little bit boring, so I decided that I was going to paint some Space Marines as well. So I've got the Space Marine models, I've got the models from the Indomitus box set, and I also have the Imperium subscription that I'm sure many of us have subscribed to. So I've got those coming as well. So I've expanded my range so that I'm not just painting the Imperial Guard models all the time, or the All-Out models, or the Genestealer Cult models, as like I said I'm using, and that occasionally I'm taking a break and I'm switching and I'm painting Marines instead. And it's allowing me to try different techniques to break up that hobby boredom of painting the same colours over and over. And then what I've done in addition to that is I've recently got into playing Blood Bowl. Now, I haven't started any proper games yet, but I used to watch American football. I am English, I'm from Britain, but I used to watch American football when I was younger. I used to stay up and watch Super Bowl Sunday. So I picked up the Blood Bowl set last year, and it's now time to start painting some Blood Bowl players. So I've added that 3rd project in there and added some Blood Bowl players into it. And it just means that rather than painting the same thing over and over again, I am painting different things and I'm taking on different projects, even to the point where I've done I've got the diorama that I'm working on at the moment, and that isn't part of my Set a Goal Sunday, but it is something different that I'm painting. I've painted another smaller scale diorama with models from RTLW Miniatures, and I've also got the Orc bust that you can just about see in the background there, just over here, and I'm going to be painting that up, and it's going to allow me to show off some dry brushes that I've got from Rosemary & Co. But that's just to give something a little bit different. And you'll see the review of this one. I'll drop a link in the description below, and that's the bust that I got from Ashdown Gaming. And it's just a little bit of something to break up what I'm doing on a regular basis, so that I'm not getting bored and I'm not getting burnt out, and finding other things to do instead of painting. The pile of grey shame that we all have, and it's not a pile of grey shame, it is one day going to be a fantastically painted army on the table, but it does break up that monotony of painting blue ultramarines constantly, for example, metal Necrons, red and white Eldar, the gold of Stormcast Eternals, and it's just a little bit of something to break that up. Now, if you are interested in different game systems either from Games Workshop or from others. There's plenty of other game systems out there that you can try. I know Dan's recently started painting some Russians for bolt action, I think it is, and that's just to break up what he's painting. It is somebody else that's got him into it. His local group are playing bolt action, and I'm sure Dan will pop along and correct me if it's not bolt action, but that's what he's painting at the minute, to break up painting what he usually paints. So it's a case of not being afraid to take on another project, as long as you don't go all in, go out and spend £1,000 or $1,000 or whatever your local currency is, getting something that's just going to sit in a drawer. But the other aspect of it is, don't be ashamed of your pile of shame. Your grey models that aren't painted yet. But what I would also say is, don't have them where you can see them, where you just look at them daily and think, oh God, I've got to paint that yet. That is something that I did some time ago. I had 600-ish Cadian Guardsmen that I'd picked up from various places second hand, some built and primed, some built and painted badly, some built and painted well. And I picked them up from various places such as the Facebook Marketplace or eBay, with the intention of stripping them all and building a massive Cadian regiment. And just having that scale of models, it was very daunting, and it made me not want to paint. And in the end, I sold them all. I sold them cheap. I got rid of them. I got rid of everything except things that I'd painted and a couple of tanks, which I kept hold of. And I started again. And like I said, it was a couple of years before I really got back into the hobby properly, and decided that that was what I wanted to do, what I'm doing now. So hopefully you guys can find a similar level, find a similar balance with your hobbying. And I figured I'd make this video today rather than sharing reviews or projects that I'm working on. Just a little bit about what I do in the hobby, how I do it, and just a little bit of motivation to tell you guys that it's not something to be ashamed of if you don't paint as much as you want. But set yourself some targets, set some realistic goals, set some time aside. A friend of mine, Nick, he's a painter. He loves playing tabletop board games rather than Warhammer, and he's going to be one of my opponents coming up for some Necromunda, and he's painted some Necromunda models. But rather than becoming daunted by what he's painting, he paints for an hour. He sets an hour a day aside and just paints for an hour, rather than becoming overwhelmed with, I need to paint something, or I need to get this model finished today, or I need to get this squad finished this week. By all means, set yourself some goals, but don't be held to them. Don't be afraid to change your goals. Don't be afraid to change your targets. And you'll achieve a lot more, and you'll be a lot more satisfied with the end results. If you don't have time to sit down and paint layer upon layer to achieve colours and shades, don't be afraid to pick up the contrast paints from GW, or the speed painter paints from the army painter. It's all about hobbying your way, and it's meant to be a relaxing hobby, a way to take a break from reality. So don't be afraid to put something to one side and try something different. If like I said, if you're sick of painting ultramarines, then get something from the fantasy range, paint something different. You'll see the back of my desk here has got models from all sorts of ranges over there, and that's just me having a break from something. And there are some models there that were painted by Nick and some that were painted by Dan, and it's just a case of getting something different and seeing something different and trying something different to break up what you're working on at the moment. So that's enough rambling from me today, but I just wanted to say, try something new, try something different, but don't be afraid to fail. It's not really failing, it's a lesson that maybe you've overextended this time. But set a goal, start something, do what you can, and if you don't do it, start again the following week. Do the same goal 2 weeks in a row. Don't be ashamed to do that. Hopefully this has helped some of you that are struggling with motivation to paint, because the last thing that we need in this hobby is hobby burnout, because then your grey pile does build up, and you don't want to paint it, and eventually you may sell everything off and drop out of the hobby. So fingers crossed that you don't get to that point, and hopefully you will set a goal and try something different. And if all else fails, just join the group, join the Facebook group. I'll pop a link in the description below, and hopefully we can motivate you. So thanks for taking the time to watch this. I know I've rambled on for 15 minutes and not done a great deal, but if you like this video and you want to see more content from us, just give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, drop by the Facebook page, the Facebook group, or even our website, because we've got loads of fantastic resources on there. In fact, one thing that we do have on there before I go is a project tracker, so it just lets you track your projects, and I'll do a little video later in the week to show you, because I do need to update it for my Blood Bowl team, and it'll just show you how the project tracker works, how you can add models, and it just lets you keep an eye on what you're doing, whether you've bought the models that you need, whether you've painted them, and how far you've got with them. So again, thanks for watching, thanks for your time, and we should be back hopefully soon with more on the fantasy marketplace.